Hey guys, how's it going? All right, here's a little clip from the Uncle Phil show where he's talking to Sabrina and Trayvon's dad. So let's get started.
Tell me your challenge. Tell me where your mind and heart are with this, Sabrina.
Um, Trayvon was my baby. It almost feels like I'm missing an arm, and I'm just going through life, just trying to struggle to see how I can get by and make things, move forward. Um, I actually think I'm on the verge of a nervous breakdown, but I pray every day that God strengthens me and continues to help me move on because I cannot think of anything worse that can possibly happen to me besides one of my boys being murdered.
Sabrina, when you say you feel like you're on the verge of a nervous breakdown, tell me what you're experiencing inside. Tell me what.
Well, first of all, I really feel for her, and I don't want to discount her feelings because, being a parent myself, I can understand how she feels, and I want to not put that down. I understand. But when she said her son, she said she can't imagine anything worse than having her son murdered. I could agree with that. But at this point, we can't agree that there was a murder. For there to be a murder, there would have to be a conviction. I know she wants to get some sort of revenge on George over this, but she needs to understand that George had every right to defend his life, and I would give her the same right if my son were to jump on her and she were to pull out a gun. It would be a terrible thing. I couldn't imagine why that would ever happen, but if it did happen, I certainly wouldn't begrudge her the right to defend her life.
It's like a nightmare almost. It's something that you cannot imagine. The pain that I go through daily is just unimaginable. I cannot really express the hurt that I feel inside. It just feels like a knife is inside of me, and I'm just walking around just hurt. I do, have a will to live, and I have a will to move on because I have family, I have friends, I have another son. So I feel like there are things that I need to live for, but it just hurts so deeply, and it's almost like it's unbearable, the pain.
When did you find out about it, and how did you find out? It's important for me to know how this hits your consciousness.
I got a call at work from Tracy, and he said he was like really nervous, and he said that Trayvon didn't come home um, that night. And that's unusual. It's very strange because although he's 17, he still listens and he doesn't stay out all night long. And I went downstairs and got in my car, and that's when I got the call from his dad that said that Trayvon was shot and killed, and I didn't believe it. And still, it numbs me, and it hurts, and it just, I just want to know how to move on, how to get past the death.
Tracy, you made that second call to tell her. Was that the hardest call you've ever made?
Yeah, it was the hardest thing I ever had to do. As a father, you just don't plan to bury your child. He had so much going for him, and to lose your child in such harsh ways, it tears me up, and it's sad.
Do you blame yourself for this?
Well, how could you not be sympathetic to that? At this point, I feel most sympathy for uh, for this guy right here, beyond the people that, of course, George's family, they're going through hell, and their family, both sides are going through hell. But I mean, when you look at the person that's having the most emotional outbreak, and I mean pretty much all consistently, it's this guy. So you got to have some compassion and some understanding what this guy went through. Um, I did hear a story where he was telling about Trayvon when Trayvon was little, and they went to a game or something, and when they came home, they were hungry, or Trayvon was hungry, and he was making some French fries, and they fell asleep on the sofa, and the the stove caught on fire. So he went in there and threw a towel on the stove to put out the fire, and the towel drug the whole grease pan onto him, rather caught it on fire and threw it on top of him. So he's laying there and burned up, and Trayvon's sleeping, and he's yelling for help, and finally he gets Trayvon's attention, and Trayvon calls 911, and the cops come, and he tells the whole story of it with him and Trayvon on the in the helicopter being airlifted. It was serious injuries, and quite a story. But it gives you the background, gives you a little bit of sentiment for the situation and why he's so connected. And I think he was probably closer, just based on the feelings that I got. He was closer to Trayvon than anybody else.
I don't blame myself because I know I did all I can do. It's a part of me that's angry with myself for not being there that precise moment, not being able to stand in front of the gun and take the bullet for him.
And I think every father feels that way. You never want your children to suffer, and you're willing to stand there if you could just be there. Everybody feels that way, and that's why people can put them. They feel for his situation so much. At least I do.
I'll give anything. I give anything to have him here, even if it means my own life. He didn't deserve to die.
I've got a lot of questions for you.
Well, that was really touching, and it's sad what happened, and I feel for this guy. Not that it changes the situation at all. I feel for him. What happened to Trayvon is a sad situation, but generally speaking, things like this hurt the family a lot more. Like when the guys are out on the streets and they doing drug deals, and then they end up getting killed. You'd think the families feel any better. It's like, oh well, he was just a drug dealer. No, they're children. Everybody's children. And you always have hope. And yeah, they fell off at one point, maybe just last week, but it doesn't mean that you don't love them. They're your children. So that's why, I've got to understand his situation, but at the same time, I have to understand the law and understand why it is that Trayvon suffered the fate that he suffered. And hopefully this will be a lesson to all the young people that are supporting Trayvon, that maybe it'll turn into something good. Maybe the black community leaders will tell the children and the young people not to attack and not to swing on people that they don't know, because you never know. Young people are impulsive. They do things on the spur of the moment. I just posted a video recently of the kid that knocked out a teacher just walking by. It was just, it was I don't think he even went to the same school. He just saw him walking on the street, and he was with a crowd of his friends, and he was feeling pretty strong and powerful, and he sucker punched the guy and knocked him cold. Well, that's not very nice. But beyond that, it's dangerous, because that guy could have been, he went down hard. That was like a life and death shot. And if that kid that punched him would have jumped on top of him and continued hitting him, then absolutely he would have had every right to pull out his gun and shoot him. So, and this is pretty much the exact same situation we had with Trayvon. He just, suddenly he had a spur of the moment idea. You know what? I ought to punch that guy. Boom, did it. And then once he knocked him to the ground, he said, he's on the ground. I can, you know what? So, as much as I can understand where Trayvon was, it doesn't change the situation. He put himself in a bad situation, and unfortunately, it ended badly. But at least in the long run, it's going to be a lesson to young people. Do not put your hands on other people. So I'm going to continue this later because I don't want to make this too long. Good talking to you guys. Bye.